What is going on, people of the internet? Hyperchaotic here with a K, double R, and welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time visiting my channel. So, as of a while ago, TikTok was finally banned. Now what? What's going to happen with the app? What's going to happen with the entire company in of itself? And what's going to happen with all the content creators on TikTok? I will be answering these questions throughout the video. And I'm not sure exactly how many people out there may be asking these questions, but I'm going to answer them anyways. Just so we can speculate a little bit on the company, on the platform itself, on what's going to happen to it throughout the ban. But before we do, let's go over the TikTok ban first so we can understand it a little bit before we start to speculate. Now, for starters, the TikTok ban isn't exactly a ban, at least in the normal sense of the word, legally speaking. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, with your typical ban, whether it be a state ban, a federal ban, whatever the case may be, when it comes to an actual legal ban on a service or a product, that service or product will most likely not be allowed under any certain circumstance, or stances, I should say. Say there's a specific product, maybe a specific hair gel that was banned due to certain ingredients, but you don't care, you still want to use it. Now, it may be banned to be purchased in your local stores, but technically it's not banned from you to personally own it. You just can't buy it in stores. But nonetheless, that product, that special hair gel you want, is banned and you're not allowed to get it at all in those stores. Maybe you're still allowed to have it, you will just have to get it somewhere else. You just can't get it in your city or state because it was banned. But nonetheless, it's a complete ban and you can't access it at all from local stores or whatnot, local services, because they're just not allowed to provide it. Period. End of discussion. But in this particular circumstance with TikTok, it is a special act directed, well, not specifically directed at TikTok, but any corporation. And I mean any corporation owned by a United States foreign adversary, or at least any foreign adversaries mentioned in the supposed quote-unquote TikTok ban. Because you see, the ban is actually an act, or a bill if you will, meant to target corporations owned by foreign adversaries doing business in the United States. And who are those foreign adversaries, you may ask? China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. Now, I don't know if they plan on adding any more nations to that list anytime soon, or if there will be more added later on. But as of right now, those are the four main countries listed on this act as foreign adversaries. Now, I gotta say, I find it kind of funny that North Korea is even mentioned in this act at all. Because, let's be honest, what exactly are we getting from North Korea? What possible exports, what possible products, what possible services could we be getting from North Korea, of all places, in the United States? And I'm not just talking about just because of the sanctions from the US against North Korea, but even if those sanctions didn't exist, North Korea really does not like the United States. So even if those sanctions didn't exist, I highly doubt there will ever be a situation where North Korea would do business with the United States or any of its corporations or people. And I highly doubt any North Korean products or services ever reach American citizens ever. Like, maybe I could see somebody getting a nice little souvenir in a Chinese town or Russian town near the border of North Korea from North Korea. But I don't see anybody getting anything directly from North Korea, purchasing it directly through a North Korean company or services or anything like that. I don't know. It's just funny to me to see that North Korea was even mentioned in such a bill at all. But nonetheless, I can understand why, given that they are a foreign adversary. But anyways, all this bill, all this act essentially does is goes after companies owned by said foreign adversaries, and it'll either force them to sell their corporation if they're doing business in the United States and have American investors, maybe an American HQ, if they want to keep doing business in the United States, or they will be banned. And essentially, they just have to sell the company off to a new parent company that is not a parent company licensed or doing business out of any of the listed foreign adversary nations. So, TikTok, it's owned by a Chinese parent company named ByteDance. So, if TikTok wants to continue to do business in the United States, they have to sell off TikTok to literally any American company here that'll buy it. As long as it's not owned by another Chinese corporation, or of course a Russian one, or a North Korean one, or an Iranian one. Doubt they would ever buy it anytime soon, but nonetheless, obviously, again, they're listed for a reason. And as far as I know, it doesn't necessarily state that they can't sell to a parent company that's not owned by the United States, as long as it's not one of the foreign adversaries. But for the most part, it's definitely making it very clear that they want TikTok to sell to an American company. And once they have a new parent company that has nothing to do with the CCP, nothing to do with China, nothing to do with Russia, Iran, or North Korea, then they will be allowed to continue to do business in the United States. However, TikTok has been refusing for quite a while, and we will go into that a bit more in what they have been saying in the refusal. But as of recently, TikTok has been deciding to try to sell off the app without its original algorithm. Now, why on earth would they try to do that? Well, for starters, the algorithm of TikTok is the most valuable and most powerful thing that ByteDance owns. So many other social media companies would love nothing more than to get a hand on their freaking algorithm. They would love to get their hands on that algorithm. If YouTube could get their hands on that algorithm, they would. They would snatch that up in a heartbeat. But nobody can't, because TikTok's main bread and butter behind the scenes is its algorithm. It's what makes that platform run. It's the very thing that makes TikTok so powerful, so dominant. So there's no way in hell they're going to give that up. And the second reason why they would choose to sell off the platform without its algorithm is because they can. The algorithm in of itself is a separate program from the entire app and is an intellectual property separate from the app. Even though it is the TikTok algorithm is a completely separate licensed piece of property that belongs to ByteDance. And if they want to choose to sell off the platform without the algorithm, they can. They can choose to sell off one piece of their property without the other. As technically speaking, the algorithm and the platform itself are two different intellectual properties. And the ban, or the act in of itself, only states that TikTok needs to sell off the platform. It didn't say anything about including its algorithm. Though this is going to make any American companies out there less likely to want to buy it, because it's not going to come with its most vital piece. Not to mention the most powerful one at that. And I cannot emphasize enough just how freaking powerful that algorithm is. It's one of the very reasons why the US government wants it banned alone. Besides the fact that they think it's spyware, which what social media app isn't spyware nowadays? But more on that later in the video. Now, on the original day of the ban when it was first initialized, originally the time started off at 180 days until the app would be banned, or at least somewhere around that time limit. And until then, the app would have no choice but to find a buyer, or by the time the time limit's up, it would be completely banned in the United States. Banned off of Google Play, banned off of app stores, can't be accessed to your browser, just inaccessible. However, as of about, I would say, a month or a month and a half ago, TikTok decided to sue the United States over this ban. And because of this court case, and just for the simple fact that court cases can take a long time, this has now extended the time for how long it would take the app to be banned and for how much longer they can continue to do business in the United States until they have to sell or have to be banned. Now, I could already see some people saying, well, if they're trying to sue the US government over it anyways, why even bother trying to sell the app? Just as a just-in-case measure, I meant to say. Sorry about the stuttering. In case, well, the case doesn't go in TikTok's favor, well, then they can still sell off the app and at least run off with their money. Because the United States is where they have the most business, the most users right now, out of any other nation out there. And before anybody says, well, what about China? Well, here's the thing. They have their own version of TikTok, which has its own algorithm, has its own servers, its own system, and a completely different license name. It's technically a completely different app, even though it's literally the same UI and layouts and programming. But it's technically a different app, and it's called Ding Dong. So TikTok in China, which is Ding Dong, is technically its own separate app, and it has its own separate servers with its own user base. So of course they can continue to run that there, but it's separate from TikTok. And TikTok's biggest user base, not Ding Dong, but TikTok, at least I think it's Ding Dong. If I'm getting that incorrect, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm pretty sure it's Ding Dong. But TikTok's biggest user base is the United States. I would say its second biggest user base probably was India before it was banned there, but I can't say that for sure. But nonetheless, its biggest user base right now is the United States. Now, the next thing that I want to cover is any previous bans, because I could already see some people out there possibly saying, well, wait a minute. Weren't there already some previous bans before? Well, yes, dear theoretical viewer, there were. But those previous federal bans were flops. This is the only one that managed to get through the Senate and Representatives. But then, now somebody out there might be thinking or saying, no, HK, that's not what I mean. I don't mean like a federal ban. I'm talking about like a completely different ban that already went through. And I already know what you're talking about. There's two different bans I could specifically mention. The first one being a ban of TikTok on government devices, aka any devices owned by government agents, authorities, and just general workers, such as the military, I think maybe police, FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, politicians, etc., etc. Anybody within high power or in places where they can have important secrets that you need to keep, or where security is very important. Now, just to be clear, it's only on government devices. They're not allowed to have it on their government devices, not allowed to have them on devices at work. Whether or not they're allowed to have them on their personal devices is a separate thing completely. And I'm pretty sure anybody out there who works for the government, if they want to use TikTok, they're allowed to have it on their personal device. They just shouldn't be having them on their person when they're at work, and should never be using them on any government-provided devices. And the reason why it's banned on any government devices is because of the concern of security breaches, which, if the government is truly concerned about, that, I need to slow down, then they should probably ban all social media platforms on government devices in general. No matter if it's Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or YouTube. I'm pretty sure they have no problem selling their data to China or Russia, even though they can't do business there. They can make money off of them somehow. And the other TikTok ban that did went through, that's not a federal ban, was a local state ban. the app was banned in the state of Montana. Not sure who the fuck lives in Montana, but okay, I guess goodbye to those 16 users of TikTok who live in Montana. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean 16. I mean all 25 of them. And I don't just mean 25 users from Montana. I mean the whole freaking population of Montana in general. Yes, I know, it's much bigger than Wyoming's population. Though, funny thing about the ban in Montana is, ever since it got banned in Montana, VPN sales went up. Now please, ladies and gentlemen, to those of you out there watching or listening, put a pin on that, because we will be coming back around to that. Please, remember that part. Now let's go over what TikTok has been saying about the ban. Now, I remember seeing a post on TikTok and Twitter. Now, I'll probably put the original TikTok post in the video.
Hi everyone, it's Show here. As you may have heard, Congress passed a bill that the president signed into law that is designed to ban TikTok in the United States. That will take TikTok away from you and 170 million Americans who find community and connection on our platform. Make no mistake, this is a ban on TikTok and a ban on you and your voice. Politicians may say otherwise, but don't get confused. Many who sponsored the bill admit a TikTok ban is the ultimate goal. It's obviously a disappointing moment, but it does not need to be a defining one. It's actually ironic because the freedom of expression on TikTok reflects the same American values that make the United States a beacon of freedom. TikTok gives everyday Americans a powerful way to be seen and heard, and that's why so many people have made TikTok part of their daily lives.
Bullshit!
Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will be honest. Back when the TikTok ban was first being, brought up, I would have said that I would agree that to some extent, that maybe this is some sort of light impeachment, light step on of the First Amendment.
Unless they reach a deal soon, tomorrow by midnight, these artists will not be on this.
A lot of people don't know about this UMG situation with TikTok, but it's scuffed for a lot of creators. You didn't know because of this agreement falling in, they're pulling a lot of the songs that you use every day on your videos, which means your shit's about to get muted. Not just the music, every bit of the audio in general. Like, this is for real. They've already started pulling artists and people are upset. Imagine your whole page and some of your most viral videos are now just muted because you didn't save them before this time. That also teaches a lesson that I've been talking about for a minute, is that we have to diversify our content to other places so we don't have situations like this. Because at any time some nonsense like this might happen outside of your control and your page might take a hit. That's why I've been using the same copyright-free generic beat for years, because I didn't want to risk this shit. I had that happen to me once. It sucks. So if you haven't already, I definitely suggest that you start saving your TikToks, because there's nothing more discouraging than seeing some of your favorite videos that you've made have no audio at all and there's nothing you can do about it. The situation sucks, but it teaches us that we need to backlog our content and diversify it to other places. Save them now.
They have been hell-bent on shutting this bitch down since the beginning of time.
Now, a lot of you guys wanted my thoughts on the latest TikTok ban news, and I'm telling you, it doesn't look good. Like a lot of you, I've always been skeptical about the TikTok ban myself because of the fact that they've been trying this shit for 4 years. But now they got a bill for it and they unanimously approved of it. That's the difference in this situation. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this come up on your phone, whether your notifications were on or off. I have been preaching this for the longest time possible, but this is the end game now, people. If you are a creator, you need to be proactive. Do not leave your livelihood or your effort in the hands of Congress. They will hoe you. They don't care about the millions of jobs or the free-flowing information that comes from TikTok or the good that it does. They're just worrying about how it benefits them. For a lot of creators, TikTok was the start of your journey. I don't want it to end here. Download all of your videos right now. Prepare yourself for the worst, because I'm telling you, it's a hoe and a half to have to start over.
But after some recent experience on TikTok and seeing what happened to other creators on that platform, that couldn't be the biggest load of shit if the CEO literally pushed it out of his colon. For starters, I'm pretty sure the First Amendment does not apply to corporations. It only applies to individuals. Now, it can apply to an individual running his corporation. Perhaps the government is impeaching on a business owner's freedom of speech and creativity on what they want to do with their business. But that really depends on the circumstances. It can be very iffy. Business owners still got to follow the law, and there's a certain level of professionalism they need to have. Plus, businesses are private entities, not people. So technically speaking, the First Amendment shouldn't even apply to them, even if they are a public place or platform, such as TikTok or YouTube, or a public place like an open store or restaurant. It's publicly open, it's open to the public. It may be sometimes considered sort of an extension to the public, but it's technically a private business with private ownership. And in a certain way, from a certain point of view, a business can suppress your individual freedom of speech and creativity if it in any way, form, or fashion negatively affects the business. Say if you're saying a lot of obscene shit while you're at a restaurant and you're upsetting the rest of the customers. Now you can cry, my freedom of speech. But guess what? That's a private business and you're upsetting the other customers and it can negatively affect the business. So if the business owner, if the restaurant owner says, you gotta get out, then you gotta get out. And although in a certain way maybe it could be seen as affecting your free speech in that restaurant, well, according to the First Amendment, it cannot be impeached on by the government. It doesn't say anything about a private business entity. Just like it doesn't say anything about it applying to a private business entity. So if it doesn't apply to us when a business entity is doing it to us, then as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't apply to them even if the government is doing it to them, because they're not an individual. And they're not technically a part of the public, even if they're sometimes considered an extension of the public, or considered a public business or public platform. So I'm sorry, dear old TikTok CEO, sir, but the First Amendment does not apply to you nor TikTok, especially given the fact that neither TikTok nor you are local to the United States of America. Now, when it comes to the First Amendment, or really any of our rights in America, they don't just apply to American citizens, but they can apply to immigrants and any sort of foreigners as well. Just like, what's the word I'm looking for? Tourists. I'm sorry, the word I was looking for was tourists. So yeah, when it comes to the rights of America, they don't just apply to citizens, but they can apply to immigrants, both legal and illegal, and tourists as well. But here's the thing when it comes to those rights. You have to be here in order for them to apply to you. And even if the First Amendment did apply to corporations, it would be hard to apply to TikTok when it's not an American corporation. It may have license to do business in the United States, but it's not an American corporation. And as for the TikTok CEO himself, unless he's in the US, the First Amendment does not apply to him. He doesn't have to be a citizen for it to apply to him, but he has to be here. That's how it works. You cannot be in the UK, in Singapore, and any other nation where TikTok is allowed and be like, but my freedom of speech. There is no freedom of speech for you because you're not in America. You don't have to be a citizen, but you're not here, so it doesn't apply to you. If you're in India, the UK, France, it does not apply to you. If your nation has its own amendment on free speech, then yours will apply to you in that circumstance, but ours doesn't. It's completely irrelevant for TikTok. And as far as I'm concerned, as long as there are other available publicly aligned platforms for people to go to, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, etc., Threads will throw that into Reddit. As long as these alternative platforms exist, you have a place to go for freedom of speech and creativity. If TikTok was to go down by tomorrow, and all the people out there who uploaded TikTok were no longer able to access their accounts, all that will happen is they lose access to their original account content, which would suck. But they can always start all over again on another platform and continue their business, continue their channel as if nothing happened. Point being, as long as you have options, your First Amendment right is not being stepped on. And in this circumstance, it's only being affected because it's owned by a foreign adversary. I'm not necessarily saying I agree with it. I'm just stating the facts of the circumstances. And on top of all that, I gotta be honest, ladies and gentlemen, TikTok has the balls, or the TikTok CEO, I should say, the audacity to say that the US government is impeaching on people's freedom of speech and creativity on TikTok when TikTok already does that just fine themselves. I can't tell you how many times my favorite creators got a temporary suspension or a ban on a platform for a video that wasn't even that bad, or a comment that wasn't even that bad, or they had a video deleted or muted and had to re-upload it multiple times, or their account got completely deleted and they had to restart 3, 4, 5 times, or they were lucky to even have a backup account because they expected this to happen. Like, this is such a common occurrence on TikTok that it's pretty much expected that if you upload content to there on a regular, have a backup account in case anything happens to your account. And of course, save your content on an external hard drive. And let's make this very clear that this is something any content creator should be doing no matter what, regardless of what platform you're on. You never know what could happen. Mistakes could happen on either end. You should be saving your content on an external hard drive just in case. Do not count on these platforms. Do not put all your eggs in a single online basket. Now to come back around to some of those questions I mentioned earlier in the video. Such as, what would happen to the platform if it did eventually get banned? Well, most likely it will continue to do its business in other countries it's still available in. Now, if for some reason its user base shrank so much and the amount of money it was getting started to shrink to the point where they might as well just sell it off anyways, I mean, I could probably see them doing that anyways if they get banned. So if they do, they'll most likely just do that. But even then, if they get banned, they'll most likely just run business as usual in the places they're still allowed. Now, what about the TikTok content creators? Where would they go? Well, here's a funny thing about this, right? Because ever since the TikTok ban was officialized, people have been thinking that, oh no, when it does eventually get banned, there's going to be a huge TikTok migration to YouTube like there was with the Viners. And to that I gotta say,
they're here.
Everyone! They're here already! You're next!
ladies and gentlemen, the TikTokers have been here before the TikTok ban ever made it to the freaking senators and representatives' desks. As I mentioned before, TikTokers are already having issues with their freedom of speech and creativity due to TikTok's own issues alone, such as actual bans, unfair bans at that. Hell, I'll go as far as to say this: you should be saving your content before and after editing on an external hard drive, just in case you have any computer, or I guess in this case with TikTok, phone troubles, and you lose that data, you lose that video you wanted to upload it as you just finished when you started having phone troubles, and now you can't access your phone anymore, or you got to get a new phone, or you broke your phone. All that hard work, gone. Down the drain. All because you had a technical issue from your end on your personal device. And I'm saying this from experience because I literally had an issue with my computer. I lost some files to some videos that I wanted to do. Now they're going to have to be scrapped. I'll have to redo them sometime later on down the line. I had some footage, some no commentary footage from my second video game preservation channel, and that's gone. I probably could try to re-record it, but due to some issues, that's just not going to happen. That content is gone because I did an oopsie, I did a da-da-da move, and I didn't save my files on an external hard drive. I didn't save my contents before and after editing on an external hard drive just due to computer issues. Never mind issues with platforms. So if you're truly concerned about your content disappearing and going bye-bye, then save it on a separate external hard drive instead of putting hope in that platform or even your personal device. Now, as I said a while ago earlier, before the TikTok ban, before all my personal experiences and the experiences of others that I've seen on TikTok, before all of that happened, I probably would have agreed that maybe this is an impeachment on freedom of speech. Because if they can go after TikTok, they can always go after Reddit if they wanted to. And before anybody says, how? Why? Why Reddit of all platforms? Well, you see, ladies and gentlemen, what a lot of people don't know, and remember, this is a Foreign Adversary Act. It doesn't particularly go after TikTok. It can go after any corporation owned by a foreign adversary. And ladies and gentlemen, Reddit is partially owned by Tencent. Yes, the same Tencent that has produced Call of Duty Mobile. A Chinese company. Which means Reddit can easily be on the chopping block right next to TikTok. Hell, if they probably wanted to, the US government, they could probably go after Microsoft and Xbox for owning Activision, which does business with Tencent, a Chinese company. I don't think they would have to force them to sell anything. They would just have to force them to stop doing business with Tencent. Or Tencent would have to sell themselves off to a different American corporation if they want to keep doing business in the US. Or just, well, they also do business in South Korea, but I don't see South Korea banning them anytime soon just because they're a Chinese company. Just the US, possibly. Only because how open-ended this bill, this act is for other corporations owned by foreign adversaries. It didn't specifically call out TikTok, and it didn't only say social media companies. It said any corporation owned by a foreign adversary. Any. So, Reddit could be next. Activision and Xbox might have to deal with some issues for doing business with Tencent. But as long as Reddit is sold off, or Tencent sells off their sales in the company, their shares, or they sell off Tencent, and Microsoft and Activision stop doing business with them, they'll be fine and they can continue to do business. And as I said earlier, as long as there are other options, you're good. So let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, is it really an impeachment on freedom of speech and creativity? And before anybody mentions the business owners, first of all, they can sell literally anywhere else that they wanted to and still promote on TikTok even after it's banned. And secondly, from all the issues that I've seen from business owners on TikTok, I think they got to be more worried about TikTok ruining their TikTok business rather than the US government. By the way, I literally have some of this evidence on my own channel, which I will link in the description down below, as well as any resources, or sources I should say, on any of the information I've been providing within this video on TikTok and its ban. And not only should TikTok businesses try other means to sell their products as a just-in-case measure, but it could be a good way to expand their business rather than just sticking to this one spot, no matter how big it may be. And they can still use TikTok to promote their product even after the ban. How, you may ask? How do the remaining 25 people living in Montana get around the ban? What did we go over earlier? That's right, VPNs. If not a VPN, you know what else you can do, ladies and gentlemen? Literally just change the location settings on your PC. Just make it think you're in another country. Let's say I'm going to pull a random ass nation out of my ass. Sweden. Let's say Sweden still allows TikTok once it's banned. Turn on a VPN or change your location settings in your device and make it think you're in Sweden. That's it. And that's all. I'm 25 years old right now, alright? I remember doing this trick back when I was in high school. I did this trick with my PC so I could play this one game that was only exclusive in China, or at least to Chinese servers. So I had to change the settings or location settings in my PC. I could have also used a VPN, but I didn't have one at the time, and I didn't have the money to really purchase a subscription service. So all I did was literally change location settings in my PC. That's it. You change the fucking settings. That's it. And I was able to play this Chinese exclusive Call of Duty. Yeah, you heard that correctly. There was a Chinese exclusive Call of Duty that only those who connected to Chinese servers or lived in China could play. It was really fucking good, and it sucks that it got shut down a while ago. But it was something exclusive to China, not allowed anywhere outside of China, that I was able to access by simply changing the location settings of my computer. And you could do the same thing with a phone too. Now keep in mind it's quite a process, and make sure you don't accidentally put your entire computer settings in Chinese as well, because then it's going to be a bitch to put the language back into English or whatever language you speak. I mean, if you're watching this video, clearly you speak English, but even then, I bet, like, say if you speak French or Spanish and, you know, that's something you're more fluent in, you probably have your devices in those languages. But point being, you know, don't fuck yourself, because I almost did that one time. It's definitely more time consuming than using a VPN, so if it's easier for you to just do that, then just use that. But if for some reason you can't, then a location setting change will be more than enough. Just look up a quick tutorial on how to do it. And boom, you're done. The ban was completely pointless, and now you can access your TikTok account and continue to watch your content or upload. Granted, if they were banned, I'm not sure what would happen to the servers here in the United States, what would happen to all that data, whether they were to refuse to sell or if they did sell. I mean, if they did sell, obviously the ban would not go through and the data would stay there. Nothing would really happen but an algorithm change. But if they did get banned, I don't know what would happen to that stuff. But I'd imagine they would still have access to that data, because that data would actually still be pretty valuable for them, and they could still put that content through the algorithm. So your account should still technically be available. You just gotta turn on a VPN. Make your device think it's in a different location. That's it. Would TikTok as a corporation still be hurt by this? Yes. But who cares? Boo-hoo-hoo. Boo-hoo-hoo. $1 million company was hurt when it actively screws over its users. A boo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Cry me a river while I play the world's tiniest violin the size of a freaking atom. And yes, you did hear that correctly. I did say that it would make the ban completely and utterly pointless, because you can literally just turn on a VPN and still use TikTok. That's all you gotta do. Anybody lightly tech literate can tell you that. And that way you can protest a TikTok ban without actively doing anything and still use TikTok even after it's banned. And at the same time still tell TikTok to go screw itself while you still use its service. I mean, is it still beneficial for them if you still use their service? Yes, it is. Don't get me wrong, it still is. But it's going to hurt them more that they can't properly do services in the United States. It'll hurt in the investors and shareholders department. It may hurt in the advertisers department, especially when it comes to American sold products. But in some way, form, or fashion, it is going to hurt them. And I say, let the $1 million company hurt, and let the big government look stupid, because it is. Two birds with one stone, or really one bill. And for all those people wondering if the app got banned, where would all the TikTokers go? Well, assuming they had enough basic intelligence to just use a VPN, they wouldn't really go anywhere. And as I've stated earlier, they're already here on YouTube, for those of you watching on YouTube. and other places as well where they can upload videos, or specifically upload videos in the vertical format. Whether it's a TikTok alternative competitor or just another social media alternative in general, regardless of the type. And as I've already mentioned, they've been coming here due to TikTok's own issues. They just haven't come in droves because, well, the ban hasn't gone through yet up until now. And even then, it's still going to be a while till it's official. Because they're still giving TikTok some time to at least sell the company if they want to still do business, as we just went over. Now, if that happens, could they come in droves? Sure, that's still a possibility, but so many of them are already here due to TikTok's own issues. And they just want to preserve their videos without the risk of their account or their videos constantly being deleted like they do on TikTok. I mean, that issue does happen on YouTube sometimes, every now and then, but compared to how often it happens on TikTok, it's basically rare. I mean, at the very least, compared to TikTok, it's not such a common occurrence to the point where if it happens to one of your favorite creators, you're like, oh, there goes YouTube, deleting somebody else's video or channel again. Fix your shit, YouTube. Like, nobody says that about YouTube. But on TikTok, that's a very common occurrence. It's almost expected sometimes. Literally, again, as I said earlier, you're expected to have a second account just in case this happens. This should literally be an expectation when using TikTok. And on top of that, some people do come here to make longer videos, believe it or not. Depending on the type of content they do and whether or not what they do can even fill a full video up to at least maybe 10 minutes minimum, they will. And some of them do make videos longer than 10 minutes. I'm mentioning that because for those of you who have been on TikTok and have used TikTok or made TikToks, you already know that long form videos are allowed on TikTok now. It at least allows up to 10-minute videos. However, if you want to make longer videos and if you want your video to be easier to find even through search results, YouTube's the place to go. Plus, you got the additional benefits of proper thumbnails compared to what TikTok has, which for what it is, it's fine. Those little title cards, screen cards, but let's be honest, a thumbnail does work a bit better. It's a bit more noticeable, recognizable if you want to see the video again. And the title might be easily searchable. It really depends on whether or not the search results and YouTube wants to fuck with you that day. But when it comes to using a basic search feature, 10 times better on YouTube than TikTok. Like, oh my god, that search feature on TikTok gives me a freaking migraine sometimes. It just makes me want to smash my fucking head on the desk. And that's not to say YouTube or hell, sometimes even Google don't have their own problems with their search function. But compared to TikTok's, which has always been bad, and I think it's only getting worse, even with how bad it's gotten lately, it's still 10 times better than TikTok's search function. Like, I'm not even joking. At this point, I feel like the only bonus points I could possibly give TikTok, the only benefit I would say it has over other social medias at this point, is its video editor and other special effects. And even then, those have their issues. But yeah, if there's one thing I can say, it's better than what YouTube Studio has. But for me personally, not worth dealing with all the bullshit on that platform. It just really makes me wish that a lot of the effects and the TikTok editor in of itself was its own video editor. If it was, I probably would actually still use it. Or at least use those effects and the editor tools. But other than that, I just really don't even want to use that platform anymore. Most of the creators I've seen on TikTok, I can literally watch them on YouTube now. I have no reason to be on that platform, especially with how many BS strikes I constantly get on my account. It's just not even worth it. So to any TikTokers out there who end up watching this, come to YouTube, go to Instagram Reels, go to both, go to neither, I don't care. But if you have any basic intelligence, any sense, and you genuinely want to preserve your content and don't want to lose all that hard work, then you should diverse your content on other platforms. Even I do that. Shout out to those watching on BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey when I eventually upload there. And at the very least, save it on your hard drive because, again, never mind platform issues. You never know you're going to have a device issue or if you make a mistake. I personally have. I already told you my situation. Learn from my mistake and learn from any of your previous mistakes. So if you want to keep using TikTok, go ahead. If you want to say screw you to the ban and the U.S. government, go ahead. Even more so if you use a VPN if the ban goes through. But stop defending this platform. It doesn't give a damn about you. No corporation or CEO on this platform gives a damn about you or its users. None of them. I can understand why TikTokers still want the platform around regardless of all its issues, the same way I can understand why YouTubers still want YouTube around regardless of all its issues. But for the love of God, if there's one thing I'll say about YouTubers and regular YouTube users, at least they're not constantly riding this platform's and this corporation's dick. But TikTokers, users, content creators alike, my God, you ride that platform's dick like it's the best fucking in your entire life, as if you're never gonna get dick ever again in your life. I mean, seriously, some of y'all's hoes ain't sore from riding this freaking horse since 2020? Yo, shit gotta be a gaping cavernous cave by now. But you know what? At the end of the day, you do you. It's your time and your data, you do what you want with it. But when the time comes that something happens to you and you finally realize that that corporation doesn't give a fuck about you no matter how much you whine, cry, bitch, and moan to them, well, I don't know what to say. Just don't go crying to them when it happens. And I don't want to hear, I don't want to hear I told you so. Well, I don't need to tell you. It'll be ringing in your freaking head. Though with that said, let me know what your thoughts and opinions are down below. And leave a like if you've enjoyed. If not, leave a dislike and a comment telling me why. Because any interaction is good interaction for my channel, the algorithm. And any criticism can help me get better. And if you did enjoy, please subscribe to add a little dose of chaos in your life. If not, please do leave your dislikes. Because your dislikes do matter. And I do appreciate your time. Even if you didn't enjoy it. All of my sources on this information will be linked in the description down below. And in my next following video, we'll go over why the US wants to ban TikTok and why the users are so adamant on defending it. HK out. Sorry if you hear any background noise near the end of this video. My roommates have no respect for me when I'm recording, or hell, even on the phone. Have a good one.